extremely overwhelmed when this wonderful friend of ours, an international global speaker who is an expert in networking, came forward and said, "Hey Irene, I just love what you do and I love to support you." Oh, wow, that is really, really big for us. And without further ado, can we give a round of applause to welcome Gil Petersil?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Irene. Thank you, Tim. Such a wonderful cause. You know, in general, I'm a huge fan of impact. And I've been very, very inspired by your family and how impactful you are with your kids, how you are impactful with the way you capture visualizations of people. To me, that is impactful. Listening to a speaker speak for a few hours and then being able to show all of that on one big A1 piece of paper that captures the essence of a speaker's message and mission and value. To me, that is impact. And when I saw what it is that you're doing, of course, I wanted to jump in and say, hey, I don't know where I'm going to be in the world, but let me jump in and hey, guess where I am? I'm in your backyard here in Singapore, a place that I used to call home and haven't been here for a few years. So it's really good to be here. And, you know, for me, in general, anytime I hear the word impact, it always comes back to my own life, where I ask myself, you know, who's been impactful in my life and have I valued them? And how have I been impactful in other people's lives? And what has my journey been like? And what would my journey have been like unless I looked out for those gems, those diamonds? And for me, I've been through a journey that's had its challenging moments and still does. You know, just recent years when COVID hit the world and my 3 biggest companies that taken me and my wife 10 years to build all disappeared overnight. For me, that was to be in a position of saying, wow, you know, this is impactful. And not all impact has to be good. And we must recognize that we need to balance that in life. And, you know, when COVID hit, our business was all about impacting people's lives. We had the honor and pleasure to be partnered up with people like Tony Robbins, and Eckhart Tolle, and Jay Abrams, some of the most incredible teachers in the world that have been amazing mentors and business partners for me for many, many years. And suddenly when COVID hit, it impacted us all. And of course, I completely recognize that so many people in the world lost everything they had. And so many people in the world lost their lives, or lost family members, and only seeing that there was so much negativity that happened when COVID hit. But when I switched things around, instead of just focusing on how badly COVID impacted my life, I started looking at it in a different way and said, hey, well, what is the positive impact that this situation has brought into my life? And after listening to, you know, Lily and her inspiring story, every situation that might look negative and horrible could be turned around. Every situation could be looked at as, you know, this has been horribly impacting my life and my business. Or like myself and my wife, we were actually on vacation in Bali when COVID hit from here, our home in Singapore, and 3 multi-million-dollar businesses disappeared overnight, leaving us with massive debts and liabilities. And instead of focusing on the negativities, instead of focusing on how bad things are, and oh, poor us, oh, please, someone feel bad for us, we thought, wow, how can this be a positive impact of our lives? And both of us just sat back and listen, I'll be very honest, being in Bali and an island really helped me, okay? If I was in a big city, I might have stressed out and pulled all my hair out. But being in a position where I was able to be a lot more mindful, and meditation played a big role, and just sitting back and saying, wow, why is this a gift? Which is, to me, you know, one of the most powerful words. When I think about impact, I think about gifts. And people could see that life is always happening to them, but I always see life happening for me. And when this happened, and of course, negatively impactful consequences in my business, I turned around and I said, wow, this is a fresh start. This gives me opportunity to be a new me. What does that look like now? And that was really exciting. And it's something that I like to challenge everyone that I speak to regularly. What would a new you look like if you could be more impactful, if you could be more relevant to people around you, if you could be a more interesting person in others' eyes? What would that look like? It doesn't necessarily mean that I need to be rich in order to be impactful, because you know what, when COVID hit and all of my money was taken away, and then all of our savings were used to pay salaries to, you know, almost 100 people that we had in our company, and we didn't want to fire them, and we didn't want to bankrupt the company because that would have been horrible. So we just kept on grinding through it and pushing through it and saying, you know what, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And when I think back at it, I was like, wow, how did we do that? We had no money. And even when we had no money, if I look at my life at the beginning of COVID, it was still all about giving back. And we were living in Bali, and every single week we were giving food to different people in the neighborhood. And every single week we were supporting in a philanthropic way people around us in order to be impactful, even when we had so little, even when we didn't have enough money to pay all of our salaries and all of our suppliers. I was thinking, well, hold on. The situation cannot just be black. It cannot just be awful. It cannot just be negative. How can I realize that this is happening here? I can't like say, hey, it's in a dream and all of this go away and everything is okay. No, I have to realize this is my reality, but it's not my only reality. My reality is a lot bigger than that. My reality of someone who loves to serve and loves to be impactful. And when you, Irene, and Tim just called me up, and I'm always thinking, you know, even when it's not easy for me in life, I want to be helpful. And when it's easy for me in life, I want to be helpful. And when it's really hard for me in life, I want to be helpful. And to me, that is me constantly being mindful of how impactful I am to the world for one reason, because you have been impactful to my life. You've made changes in my life, Irene and Tim. You've inspired me so many times. I see you as an incredible family that is super impactful from the day I met you. So I think it's great that you're putting this together. And, you know, I just wanted to come on and be helpful. And I'm willing to really be as impactful as possible with the little time that we have left. And what I'd love to suggest to everyone is just to consider, how have you been impactful in the last 24 hours? What have we done in the last 7 days and the last 1 month that makes a difference in someone's life? And there's a few different ideas I wanted to kind of share with you to see if you would take on a challenge. And it's not just about giving money to an organization, but it's maybe giving your time. So maybe like Irene gave her time away. Yes, Irene, go ahead.
I have a question. I mean, thank you, sharing that we've been impacted in your life. And same way, you have also impacted our life in many folds. And we know you as you're always the first one stepping forward to serve. Service is a big thing that you have taught us, and you continuously exhibit that. Now, there's one question that I'd like to ask you, that is, in order for people to actually want to create an impact, how can you, in your field, support people to create an impact? Like, we know that you're an expert in networking. What are your advice that in your field that you think people can tap on you?
So there's a couple of things that I do that I believe everyone can kind of explore doing as well. Number one, whenever you kind of wake yourself up in the morning and you're like, hey, I want to be impactful today, one of the greatest things you could do is do a very, very quick networking audit. And I constantly do this, and you feel free to add me to your contacts. And basically you're looking through your contacts, like top 20, top 100, and just scroll through them and ask yourself, who is the person who I believe is impacting others right now? and I'd like to impact them. And I've done that so many times in my life. When I was, in my early 30s, and I was going through a super difficult time in business, I flipped through my list of connections, and I started outlining different coaches and different famous speakers. And I just wrote them a message and say, hey, I'd love to be able to add value to you right now. What could I do to help you out? And literally, it's one of the most beautiful things that you could do is just reach out to Irene and say, Irene, I have some time this week. How can I be of help? It's not always money that you need to contribute. And with me personally, when I look at networking, it's always auditing who's around me and seeing how can I be helpful for them. And if you look at the way, I could potentially be of service to you, if you're ever doing something amazing like such an event, feel free to reach out to me and say, hey, Gil, can I be somehow helpful to you? Or Gil, can you support us in our event? And when asking people for help, one of the best advice I can give everyone listening is don't always ask them for a solution. You can ask them to help take some steps towards you. So maybe someone on this call today doesn't necessarily have $100 or $1,000 right now to donate, but hey, can you somehow come and support the next event? Maybe you have a database with a lot of people that can come in. Maybe your husband or your wife or your brother or sister have a big community of people that you can share this video with. And for me, this is the power of networking. It's not always thinking about, I am the resource. Being resourceful is the main message I like to share with people. How resourceful can you be to your community?
I like that resourcefulness. That's number one thing. And I can vouch for that. Whenever we chat with Gil, he has never talked about, work or business. It's always, how can I serve you? He always start with, how can I serve you? And we can chit chat with him, and it's nothing about work. It's just friendly chat and how he can of service to us. And that is how we feel really inspired by you, Gil, and your family as well. You and your lovely wife, has always been supportive, and your lovely wife is also doing wonderful things, supporting a lot of other women. And I see her blooming, glowing. Really, really grateful. And I hope that, we can also have her sometime in Impactful New You as one of our speakers too.
Of course, with pleasure. My wife is very much focused on her community that is women around the world that have one thing in common, speaking the Russian language. Now, this is what brings them together as a community because they share that. What else brings them together? They're women of impact. They're women who are mothers. They're women who are in business. And I think it's a really beautiful, vision that I had for what you're doing here with Impactful You is potentially bringing these women together and seeing maybe they want to come together for next time for a mastermind where they're not just here listening, but you're here actually contributing. And one of the greatest wins for everyone who's listening right now, if you really want to make an impact right now, if you want to make an impact, turn your video on and smile at each other. It's one of the most impressive ways of impacting the world. Don't just sit there as an observer. If you're just sitting back as an observer, trying to be inspired by what someone says, waiting for someone to say something that's going to change your life, maybe you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Life doesn't work that way. Jumping online and giving the people around you a smile right now. Look, one by one, you're turning on your videos, but come on. Look, somebody left because they're scared. Oh my God, I don't want someone to see my smile. Oh my God, no, I'm too shy. It's okay. No one is gonna, judge you. We even have Lily before looking like she's 25 years old. Oh my God, with no makeup. I love that. Just lip gloss. You got to give us all your lessons here. But really, turn on your videos for just one moment, because this one moment of not a random smile, but it's one moment of just looking at the organizers of today and looking at our host, Remy, and looking at some of the other speakers. And all I'm asking you to do is not even smile at them. I'm asking you to just, in your mind, give them a nice, friendly compliment. In your mind only, think of a compliment. You don't have to use your body. You don't have to smile. Just in your mind, look at the beautiful people on this call and give them a compliment in your mind only and see how you feel. When we see people around us, especially on these virtual sessions, It is so important for you to have your video on, because that's you being impactful. That's you giving me right now who's speaking to you. You're giving me energy back. You're being impactful for my life. I was tired. I've been on my feet the whole day since 8 o'clock in the morning at this event, connecting with people. I was on stage this morning here at the convention center. I had no energy today, but of course I wanted to be impactful. One of the things I did as soon as I joined at 7 o'clock today, I looked at the different people and I just complimented them. And even if you didn't have your video on, I still gave you a compliment, thanking you, appreciating you for being online with us. So just keep in mind that whenever you join such sessions, having your video on is one simple step to be impactful. Complimenting and appreciating and being active in the chat, that's a massive way of being impactful already. And then if you choose to give money, if you choose to volunteer at the event, that's already the cherries on top of the beautiful cake that you've already handed us. So thank you, all of those of you who turned on your video and smiled. I really hope you'll leave your videos on for the next few speakers.
Very lovely. Thank you, Gil. What an impactful move. That was amazing. You can so many of them has just switched on their camera, and this was like the first time that this happened. Right.
Take a picture before they turn it off. Quickly, take a picture.
I got one.
Everyone make an impactful use. Heart.
Shall we do that, everyone? Let us all do that. Can we on our camera, and Mary, can you take a snapshot? Yeah.
Yeah, come on, make a heart or make one of those. Sure. Yeah, make whichever one you want. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, it's beautiful. You can always take a snapshot from the video afterwards. Thank you so much, everyone. I look forward to being impactful in your life. If you need any help, feel free to write me anywhere on social media. I'm the only Gil Petersil in the world. The least I will do is answer you and say, hi, how can I help?
Trust me, he mean it. Yeah,
Gil,
we're so honored, so honored. Yeah. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, I just want to say, what a wonderful reminder, the power of service. And this just a simple and elegant question that says, life is not so bad because I have the opportunity to be of service to you. I mean, right? If we think about the perspective, as you mentioned, and just that simple question, how can I help? That's a beautiful way to consider the power of networking, is first of all, seeing who you can be of service and how you can, and then you grow through that, right? I mean, the power of reciprocity is if I gift you, you're more compelled to want to give back. It's human nature. And it's how we create more healing and more love and growth in the world.
And for those on the call who are thinking, well, maybe I don't have enough, or maybe I don't have a lot to give, you'd be surprised how powerful the how can I help you question could actually be really good for your business. Because if you find out what kind of help someone needs, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one that has to help. But I guarantee that in many cases, you know someone that can help. And if you do that often in life, people will see you as a magnet for business opportunities. They'll see you as a super connector. They'll appreciate you. They'll want to invite you to events. They'll want to be near you. And that will create abundance of health, abundance of good energy, abundance of money, whatever it is that you want to bring into your life. So the how can I help you mindset is so powerful out there. Enjoy it.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's such a great honor to have you, and thank you once again. I would love to hear more about the masterclass and have your beautiful wife joining us the next round. Yeah,
with pleasure.
In case you do not know much about Gil Petersil, Mary has actually prepared a video to share with you. Randy, do we have a quick time? A fast one?
In the video, I'm sure all the ladies and gentlemen watching this right now would like to know a little bit more about Gil. Time is too precious with him. So Mary, MJ, spin the video and take it away.
The power of networking is something that has taken me a very long time to learn. Are you ready to do that?
Gil Petersil is a world-class speaker and global thought leader on business strategy, conscious networking, and mastermind methodologies. He is passionate about connecting people and sharing his unique approach to building networks that result in win-win value contribution. A serial entrepreneur who co-founded more than 20 projects in the past. Gil is the organizer and speaker of 1,000 plus international events. He is a father of 3 who supports a conscious approach to life and business. It is not easy to narrow Gil Petersil down to just one word. A visionary, a leader, a servant, a super connector. There are many who describe who he is.
Don't be afraid. Look at this beautiful.
When you think about networking, I think about Gil. When I think about connection, I think about Gil.
He partnered and shared the stage with such legends like Tony Robbins.
We were in Palm Beach here at my home, and I just want to reach out and say thank you.
Brian Tracy, Allan Pease, Keith Ferrazzi, Robert Cialdini, and Michael Roach.
It just came from an event where we were co-creating together with Gil Petersil. This event was special. He genuinely cared about the people there. He genuinely cared about the connection there. He had so much persistence and so much faith in human beauty that I was absolutely amazed.
Suddenly we look for the beauty in people. We don't look for judge. You can't stop!
He's a fantastic man. I've seen how he's always reaching out. He's always creating these opportunities on how to host so you can be the one who brings people together. I love this value from him, and I know this is something that when you learn to do properly, you find yourself being at the pinnacle of all the connections.
Are you guys ready to do that?